Well, hello, it's Deb Pearson here, and I'm going to continue the conversation about love languages. Love languages are a way that we feel loved when someone does something and they speak in our love language. So, of course, if we have words of affirmation and someone tells us things that affirm who we are, they appreciate us or something we've done, we just feel great. Why do we feel so good? Because they spoke our language. But if we did do something that that instead of speaking words of affirmation, somebody was like, oh my gosh, I loved what they did for me. I just can't wait to give them this little gift. Could be a little clover they picked or a picture of a flower because their love language is gift. That just confuses us. Like maybe gifts is not our love language. So how do you interpret love languages when you're giving something and then someone's giving back, or someone just gives something to you? And I say give something to you. It could be a gift, could be a touch. It could be words of affirmation. They could give you acts of service. In other words, they could do something for you. And that's not your love language. It feels confusing. It may feel like they don't love you because they're not speaking your language. And so I'm trying to kind of help people understand how to read the tea leaves, so to speak. So last week I did like an overview of all 5 love languages. And if you want to see that, you can go to the video portion on this page, which is the my Facebook business page. Or if you prefer, you can go to YouTube, and I have a channel there, Debbie Pearson Coaching. So in doing this love language and moving forward in it, what I would like to do today is to dig a little bit deeper into interpreting other people's love languages and what that might mean to your relationship. When I say relationship, that can mean anybody you're in relationship with, whether it's a parent, a spouse, partner, coworker. Doesn't have to be someone that you love. It could be someone that you deal with, the cashier at the store, a child. Typically, our love languages mean a whole lot more when it's with someone that we love or that we have very intimate relationships with, but it doesn't always have to be. Good leaders learn their direct support or their direct reports love language and can visit with them in that way, and helps that person feel more connected to the superior. So here are the 5 love languages for those of you that maybe don't remember them or aren't as familiar with them. We have physical touch. We have words of affirmation. We have quality time. We have gifts and acts of service. Before I go any further, I want to give credit where credit is due. The 5 love languages were created by Dr. Gary Chapman, who was a pastor or minister and did a lot of marital counseling. And he just learned about this over time, put it together. There's books and stuff on the internet if you want to learn more about it. But in this video, we're going to talk about what are your love languages? Think of your top 2 love languages. For some people, it might be acts of service and gifts. For somebody else, it might be physical touch and quality time. How are those 2 people going to understand the love that can be given, received, and understood as love if it's so vastly different from your own love languages? So we'll kind of go into that in a little bit when we do an activity. So think about what your love language is, what your top 2 or 3. And usually we have more than one. And usually we have a couple of them. And they matter for us. If you don't know your love language, you can, I don't think I put the actual link in this bio, but I will do that probably in the comments after this video is over. I will do that for you. There are several different love language quizzes, and I honestly don't know about any of the other ones, how good they are, except for Dr. Gary Chapman's. So I will make sure that I put that link for you guys to go to. All right. So if you know your love languages, if you looked them up last week or you already knew them, you're kind of ahead of the game, right? If you don't know what your love language is, don't feel bad. I don't know what the percentage is, but it's pretty high of people that do not know what their love language is. But you're missing out. Knowing your love language is, it's like another level of information is opened up to you, and you get to see life in a different way from a different perspective. Okay, so I see some people online, so please feel free to put where you are, like where you're located, in the comments. I'm gonna glance over there and see. Love your coaching language about love languages. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Maybe Catherine can let us know where she's at right now so we can have an idea. So if you think about in your life what you've done, say learning, reading, writing, and arithmetic, or any of your school subjects, someone was teaching that to you, right? And if you learned like how to ride a bike, how to drive a car, what you got to do to get a job, you have someone kind of helping you and teaching you about what to do in that situation, right? The beautiful part about that is right now you're learning about love languages. And so we learn things and we just don't automatically know them. It's not just apparent to us. So sometimes we need a parent. Oh gosh, can't believe I made that joke. Sometimes we need someone, and of course it doesn't have to be a parent, to teach us what something is. So in this case, the 5 love languages, Dr. Gary Chapman taught them to a whole bunch of people. I learned them from him, and now I'm sharing some with you. So here we go again. Think about your top 2 to 3 love languages. And then think about someone you care about, someone that matters to you. You can always do this later with an additional person or the cashier or coworker. But for now, let's think about someone we care about, and think about what your top 2 or 3 love languages are, and maybe what their top 2 or 3 love languages are. Are they the same? Are they vastly different? Do you each have maybe one that's the same, but the other 2 or 3 are different? Knowing this can make a difference. So let's say somebody has quality time and physical touch, and someone has quality time and acts of service. Well, quality time, you can spend time together, and you're both getting a need met, right? You're both getting your love language. It's like, oh, I love spending time with you. But if the other person is physical touch, and then there's gifts, how can those 2 combine so that both people feel good? So for the person that needs physical touch, the gift giver could give them a hug and then give them the gift. And the person receives the hug, but also receives the gift and appreciates the gift and lets the other person understand that it meant something to them. Because what you're really saying is, it's not so much what you did, but that you doing that is letting me know you care about me, and I'm letting you know I see that. Now we're all kind of getting our, all this love that we may not have realized before. I don't want anyone to feel bad about this, but I can tell you something I've done in the past when I did not know about this. Somebody gave me gifts. It's her love language, big time, but I didn't understand. And I was like, stop giving me gifts, because for me, gifts is way at the bottom of my totem. Quality time doesn't matter, but quality time's really, really big. There's the other 3. And I was like, I don't want your gifts. Stop giving me gifts. And I didn't know how much I was hurting her feelings. I didn't know how much me refusing her gifts was me refusing her love. Who knew, right? So now I know, and now I just graciously accept her gifts, tell her how much I appreciate them, and give her a big hug, because I also like physical touch. And so the hug kind of works that out for me. She loves it. I love it. It works out great for both of us. All right. So think about someone you love. What are your love languages? What are theirs? And how can you maybe incorporate something about theirs with something of yours, so that there's a beautiful unfolding and connection between the 2 of you? Another question is, how does it feel when someone shows you love, using your two love languages, your top two, right? What does that look like? What does that feel like? More than likely, it makes you feel this expansive feeling because in meeting your love languages, there are needs that you have that are getting met, and it feels wonderful, so expansive. But also, it's almost like the opposite occurs, just like I was talking about gifts. When someone speaks to you in maybe a love language that's like your bottom two, one or two, there's almost like a resistance in there, right? Instead of expansive, what is that? Closing in on you, feeling trapped or uncomfortable, like, oh, don't do that. I'm opposing that. But we're going to look at it again as a love that is coming to you in a language that you're going to now start to understand. The other thing is, how do you show love to yourself using your love languages? And I don't care if you use your top two or three or all five, whatever you want to do, but how do you love yourself? Because, that's what I'm all about, is understanding that we've been taught so much how to love and take care of everyone and everything else in our lives that we've kind of left ourselves out of the equation. We're actually taught to leave ourselves out of the equation. And I'm saying, let's bring ourselves back into the equation, because nobody can know what we're feeling, just like we can't know what other people are feeling. And so paying attention to loving ourselves, we're not wanting, needing, or expecting other people to fulfill that as much, because we're doing it on our own. And believe it or not, when your needs are fulfilled, it turns out it doesn't matter how they got fulfilled, whether someone else did it or whether you did it yourself. If the need gets fulfilled, you feel good, right? You feel expansive. So the more we can do it to with, by, and for ourselves, the more happy we are, because it would be like sitting in the bathtub, yelling for someone to come turn the hot water on when you can just as easily turn that hot water on for yourself. Okay, that's a whole long story that I talk about in one of my courses. But that's like what ends to be the bottom line, like expecting other people to do certain things for us that we absolutely, genuinely can do for ourselves. Okay, so let's look at a couple of all five of the love languages, how you might be able to use it to show love to yourself. I'm just going to give two examples for each, because there's probably tons and tons and tons of them. But if you have something that you do, I would love to hear about it. You can either put it in the comments. So if you're watching live, you can put #live. If you're watching the replay, put #replay. I'll respond to you. I'll know what's going on, because I'll know what it was, replay versus live. And let me know what your love language is, your top one or two, and then what you do to show love to yourself. Okay? All right. So now we're going to talk about physical touch. So physical touch is just a wonderful thing, especially when someone else touches us. There's just something about that connection that's awesome. But how do we show love to ourselves using physical touch? There's, of course, a bunch of different ways, but two I'd like to share with you would be if you have a bath or an oil routine where you're literally like rubbing oil all over your body and you're just touching, you can just really love yourself that way. Another way is something, I'm going to step back a little bit. It's called havening. I should have wrote this down. Havening, sorry, I went off camera. Havening is a process. I'm going to write the word havening. Okay. So havening. Havening is a process of actually creating some calm in your body. It's a soothing process. And it literally goes something like this, where you're just stroking your arm. And there's, especially when you're alone and you do this process, I'll close my eyes and I just like, oh my gosh, I just feel so soothing. It feels so good. There's something calming about it. And the beautiful thing is, when you're in public and you can't do this, when I show you what you can do in public, you're going to go, oh, I do that all the time anyway. our hands, right? Now I'm exaggerating by going like really extreme here, but it's like we can do this with our hands. Sometimes we just, maybe rub the inside right here. And it can be very quiet where people don't even notice or pay attention, but it's very calming, very soothing, and there's physical touch going on. And if that's your love language, it's a way to love yourself. Now, the next one is words of affirmation. So what can you do with words of affirmation where you're giving love to yourself? So there's tons of them, right? You can journal, you can talk to yourself, there's a bunch of different things. But what about writing a letter with intention to your younger self, to your future self, and then maybe reading it out loud or recording yourself and then hearing yourself say it, right? Those are words of affirmation. You're affirming. Another way might be, because a lot of people may not think of this, but like, what about the word right here for me, the word explore? Even though that's not a word of affirming myself, I love how I feel when I read the word explore because it feels expansive to me. I'm like, yes, I want to explore. I want to see what else is going on. I want to learn more, right? And that's exciting to me. So a word of affirmation or a word that's affirming to me or for me is really good. So maybe put some words that matter for you around your house. And it could be inspirational quotes, literal words of affirmation, I matter, I'm important. What I want to do is important to me. However, the words are that matter to you is to affirm who you are, what you feel like you need or want, and put it around your home if that feels comfortable. The third one's quality time. So how can I use quality time to show myself that I love me, right? So I could maybe wake up early and watch a sunrise. And that's really special because I'm spending time with me. Or maybe watch the sunrise and or meditate. I'm spending time with myself and I'm making myself important and that time matters. So it's quality time I'm giving to myself. Another way might be to create something, to say, I'm going to carve out this time for me to do something. And if creating is a special energy for you, I know it is for me, it's very beneficial because we all have the right to have some time for ourselves. The fourth one is receiving gifts, right? Well, I think we probably buy little gifts for ourselves all the time. It's so easy. You go to the dollar store or you might see something online. It's like, oh, I'm going to spend that as $12. We do all these little things. But what else? What else is a gift? And I know eating at your favorite restaurant may not be it, but maybe that's a gift that you don't think or don't normally give to yourself and you may want to. My favorite one is to make a care package for yourself. And you send it to a friend and you tell your friend, make sure you wait more than 3 months so I'll forget about it, but then send it back to me. And then you receive something in the mail that you want, but you don't know when you're going to get it. And it's a surprise, right? So you've gifted yourself, but with a surprise. That one's a lot of fun. I've done that one a couple times. It's always like, oh my God, I forgot all about this. And it's just really, really great, especially when they make me wait like a year. All right. So acts of service. What's a good act of service? Now, we can do a lot of things for ourselves. That is act of service. And we might like take our clothes out of the closet the day before. We may vacuum the rug or something like that. But the other two it's like, what about giving yourself a day off of work? Like that's an act of service that you can give to yourself and then plan something amazing for you to do on your time off, right? So that's an act of service you've given to yourself. Another one is possibly to cook a meal for yourself, something that's really special, or do some of the tasks on your to-do list that you've been putting off. And it's like you say, oh, you know what? I'm going to get these done. And you schedule some time and you do them. And I don't know if you're like me, I feel accomplished when I do stuff like that. Okay. Now, the next part is kind of fun. I don't know how you're going to actually let me know the answer to this, but I'm going to talk about two relationships that have two different love languages and what's possible with that. Okay? All right. So the first one is Dave the dad, so dad Dave and daughter Danielle have always been at odds ever since Danielle was little. He wants her to go with him to these parties and ball games where there's just lots of people, and he doesn't understand why she doesn't want to go. He's like baffled because he loves physical touch, right? So when you're around all these people, there's a lot going on. That's what's happening. There's tons of friends, lots of friendly hugs, right? He's always bringing some sort of silly gifts like kazoos, lei, some Mardi Gras beads, whatever. So he's like sharing, so he's giving gifts, right? So he's got physical touch and gifts. I'm not supposed to tell you that. You're supposed to be guessing that. So anyway, I messed that one up totally. So we'll go the opposite direction. Let's do Danielle. So we know that dad's love languages are physical touch and gifts. But Danielle doesn't want to go where there's a lot of people. And Danielle, she doesn't really care to do that kind of thing. She wants to spend some quiet time with her dad. Just the two of them having an intimate chat. She feels alone a lot when she's around him, but she doesn't know how to explain it to him. She just knows there's a sadness inside. She wishes her dad would say some nice things to her. So if we know that about Danielle, we know that dad's love language is, physical touch. He wants all the hugs and hang out, high fives with people, and gifts. So he's like giving away little trinkety things, and it's nothing big. It doesn't cost a lot of money. And Danielle's just kind of like, this is so not fun. I don't like this at all. What does she want? Quiet time. She wants something from him, maybe something nice he could say to her. So what do you think her love languages are? Now, you're probably figuring them out, but because I can't really figure that out, I'm going to give you guys just like 30 seconds to figure out, what does that mean? I want quiet time with my dad. I want to have intimate chats with him. I don't know how to explain that to him except to say, Dad, I don't want to go to the parties, right? And then whether she says it to him or not, she's like, I sure wish my dad would say something nice to me or about me. Okay. So if you guessed, Danielle's love languages are quality time and words of affirmation, right? So how can the two of them figure out a way where they can understand each other's love? It's a challenge, right? Dad may feel really uncomfortable being in that quiet, intimate setting. Like, I don't know what to say to her. I mean, he can bump chests and high five and give hugs, but to share his heart like in words may be very, very challenging for him. So what are they going to do, right? Now, I can't figure that out for them or for you, but what I can do is say, there is a way, and they've got to use some creative problem solving to figure some things out. And that's what we need to do, is get with our person and figure some things out. So let's just do one more and then we'll get going. So let's say the hubby, Henry, loves his wife, Wanda, and he would do anything for her, except he hates buying gifts for other people. So he never knows really what to get them. And he always feels like it's a waste of his money because he's watched people go, oh, thanks. And then it's like sitting on the shelf or they're giving it away to somebody. And he's like, I'm not going to buy gifts for people. And yet, what do you think Wanda's love language is? Right. Gifts, right? Oh, of course it's going to be gifts. And it's like, how did they get together? Well, in the beginning, it was different. He wanted to get things for her, right? He bought flowers or jewelry or cards, right? And she's just like, oh, all these gifts. And then they're together for a while and that kind of goes to the wayside. And now she's like, oh, he doesn't love me anymore. He doesn't give me any gifts. Is it true that he doesn't love her anymore? Or is that he just giving the gifts has become a challenge for him because he just doesn't know what to do. So there's a way that Wanda and Henry can work something out. But if she doesn't understand to explain to him, it doesn't have to be expensive. If you'd send me a picture of some flowers, or if you would write a card and say, I love you, and that's it. Or in the morning, write a little note to me next to my coffee, thinking about you, right? And leave it there. Little things like that, which could be challenging for Henry, but he also might say, maybe I can do that every now and again. So it's creative problem solving. What can Henry do that might make Wanda feel a little more special? But what are Henry's love languages where Wanda's got to step out of her comfort zone and also share with him? So love languages are awesome, and they can be challenging when it's you that has to provide something to another person that you're not used to doing. But there's ways. And if you really want to do it, you're going to find some kind of creative solving process that might make it easier for you. All right, you guys, that's it for today. Depending on my responses I get from you guys, I may go further into love languages next week. We'll have to see. If you have anything you want to talk about as far as love languages go, you can contact me through debbiepearsoncoaching.com. I'm here for you. Schedule some time, whatever you need. Look forward to seeing you guys next time. I'm Deb Pearson, helping you become more awesome on the inside. See you next time. Bye.